Imagine a world on the brink of unimaginable change. In just 100 years, from 1492 to 1592, the arrival of Europeans in the Americas would trigger a cascade of events that reshaped continents, destroyed empires, and laid the groundwork for the modern world. This is the story of that pivotal century. Before 1492, vast and complex societies thrived across the Americas. From the sophisticated cities of the Aztecs and Incas to diverse cultures across North and South America, these lands were far from empty. They had their own histories, languages, and ways of life. Then came Christopher Columbus. His voyage in 1492, seeking a westward route to Asia, accidentally landed him in the Caribbean. This moment marked the beginning of sustained European contact and the start of a dramatic transformation for both the Americas and Europe. Spain, newly unified and eager for wealth and influence, quickly took the lead in exploration and colonization. Driven by a potent mix of motivations often summarized as gold, God, and glory, Spanish conquistadors ventured deeper into the unknown territories. They sought riches, aimed to spread Catholicism, and desired personal fame and national prestige. Early Spanish efforts focused on the Caribbean islands. Here they established settlements, exploited resources, and tragically decimated the local Taino populations through disease, violence, and forced labor. These islands became crucial staging points for further exploration. The Spanish thirst for gold led them to the mainland. Hernán Cortés, with a small force but significant advantages like steel weapons, horses, and alliances with disgruntled indigenous groups, confronted the powerful Aztec Empire in present-day Mexico. The capital, Tenochtitlan, a marvel of engineering and urban planning, fell in 1521 after a brutal siege. Further south, Francisco Pizarro led the conquest of the vast Inca Empire in the Andes Mountains. Taking advantage of internal strife and using similar tactics to Cortés, Pizarro captured the Inca Emperor Atahualpa and eventually subjugated the empire by the 1530s. These conquests were swift and devastating. The Spanish approach was characterized by military conquest, resource extraction, and religious conversion. Conquistadors were often private individuals granted permission by the crown, hoping to get rich from plunder and land. They established a hierarchical colonial system with Spanish settlers at the top. The search for precious metals like gold and silver was a primary driver. Mines were established, and indigenous labor was brutally exploited through systems like the encomienda. This economic engine fueled Spain's rise as a global power, but came at an immense human cost in the Americas. While Spain dominated the first century, other European powers began to show interest. England, France, and the Netherlands were also exploring the Atlantic, though their significant colonization efforts would largely come after 1592. Early voyages by explorers like John Cabot for England hinted at future claims. These early explorations were often focused on finding a northwest passage to Asia or establishing fishing grounds. They represented the initial ripples of a wave of European expansion that would intensify in the following centuries, challenging Spanish dominance. The arrival of Europeans initiated the Columbian Exchange, a massive transfer of plants, animals, culture, human populations, technology, diseases, and ideas between the Americas, West Africa, and the Old World. This exchange fundamentally altered the ecosystems and societies on both sides of the Atlantic. While crops like maize, potatoes, and tomatoes traveled to Europe, transforming diets, devastating diseases like smallpox, measles, and influenza traveled to the Americas. Indigenous populations with no immunity suffered catastrophic mortality rates, weakening their ability to resist European encroachment. For the indigenous peoples who survived the initial wave of conquest and disease, life changed drastically. Their lands were seized, their political structures dismantled, and their cultural and religious practices suppressed. They were often forced into labor and subjected to new social hierarchies. Resistance, however, was not absent. Indigenous groups fought back against the invaders in various ways, from open rebellion to cultural preservation. The period, 1492 to 1592, was one of intense conflict, adaptation, and survival for the native inhabitants of the Americas. By 1592, Spain had established a vast colonial empire stretching from parts of North America through Central and South America. They had built cities, established administrative systems, and begun to integrate the Americas into a global economy centered on resource extraction. This first century of colonization set precedents and patterns that would influence the next several hundred years of American history. It laid the foundation for the transatlantic slave trade, shaped geopolitical rivalries in Europe, and permanently altered the demographic and cultural landscape of the Americas. The period from 1492 to 1592 is a critical chapter in world history. It's a story of exploration, conquest, cultural collision, and profound demographic change. Understanding this century helps us grasp the complex origins of the societies we live in today and the enduring legacies of colonialism. This era highlights the interconnectedness of the world, the devastating consequences of unchecked power and disease, and the resilience of human cultures in the face of immense pressure. It's a period that demands careful study and reflection. The story of America's colonization between 1492 and 1592 is complex and vital to understanding global history. It's a period filled with dramatic events, fascinating figures, and tragic consequences. Learning about this era provides crucial context for so much that followed. Dive deeper into this fascinating period. Explore the motivations of the conquistadors, the ingenuity of the Aztec and Inca empires, and the devastating impact on indigenous communities. Hit that like button if you found this overview helpful, subscribe for more historical insights, and share your thoughts or questions in the comments below.